Oh, I'm going to go ahead and apologize. I've had a bunch of stuff going on in life. Built a trampoline last week instead of finishing pulling the interior. Um, a million birthday parties. It's that season when you got a 7-year old. You might as well kiss your weekend goodbye because just going to be going to birthday parties, trying to give my wife time to read a book, and dealing with ADD and a car with a million problems on it. So, unfortunately, I haven't gotten anything substantial enough to be like, oh yeah, I fixed the entire trunk, but I did Bondo a couple spots, or like just tiny little things here and there, but no major projects. But I figured I would just go ahead real quickly. I did discover something. I do have a little bit of footage about it, but I did start to get organized. Bought a toolbox. Actually, got most of my interior put on the shelf. Got myself a whiteboard so I know what the crap I'm doing. And this cluster mileage thing under Unsolved Mysteries is going to be probably the topic that we're going to talk about tonight. It's pretty quick, but needless to say, as I continue to get deeper and deeper into the car, I keep finding more and more like things that are just kind of weird. So I figured that'd be a pretty good intro, and we will go from there. All right. So I've been continuing to pull the interior of the Del Sol slowly, steadily, working on the rust, cleaning everything as I go. Want it to be spotless when it goes back together. But I did come across another unsolved mystery. When I bought the car, I looked up the Carfax, and the last thing I saw was that it had an oil change at 180,000 miles. The previous owner, Brad, had told me that it had like 270,000 on the odometer, so went to pull it, and I was getting ready to clean some stuff last night. And I pulled it out, and lo and behold, this thing's revving at 68,000 miles. That's where it's redlining. That's not an SI cluster. It does have the Y8 inside of it. The Carfax, as well as the VIN number, all point to it being an SI. So this is not the original cluster that was in here that was showing a ridiculous number of miles on it. So part of the reason why I pulled that out was because I was going to replace all these with LEDs in here, right? And some of these, like the one right here, is ridiculously hard to get to. You'd have to use pliers or something. I don't want to use pliers on this soft plastic. The new back caps fit super tight on there compared to the stock OEM ones with bulbs in them. So I had to create myself a little tool that basically I can fit on here. It's got plenty of clearance. I can twist. I can just pull my bulbs out, Same for putting them back in. Saved me a lot of time. I'm probably going to upload this to the Old Souls Discord pretty soon. There are larger bulbs that go in the center cluster for the climate control. When I get that pulled, I'm going to test just to make sure I don't need to print a larger version of this too. And then I'll get that uploaded. So, the big issue that we had now is I need to update this to an SI cluster. So, to do that, I went to the Old Souls Discord over here. Up here at the top, you'll see like the SI, VTEC, and you'll notice the red line changes on all three of these. That's the only difference between the three of them, other than the VTEC going up to 9,000. So I went ahead and downloaded that. Started over here, grabbed his original file, went ahead and pulled the VTEC, measured out everything. Must have been some drinking at the Honda factory, because this area you're going to notice there's like some 16 degrees where every other thing seems to be 15 until you get right across from it, and then it swaps to 16 degrees again. I don't know what's going on with that. There's something weird with the rev spacing. But part of this was, if I'm going to 3D print this gauge, the most important thing is I need to bring every line that I print into multiples of 0.4 millimeters because that's the nozzle size. So you can see where I went ahead and I figured out the degrees for everything. I figured out how far I needed to cut everything back, and then I started doing this. This is about where I printed my proof of concept, which I have over here. I'll talk about that in a second. You'll notice the 6 is a little bit off. This is the revised version that I'll probably print later. Now, if you notice, one of the things that I do is I put this inside of a box. The box is 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. It's specifically so that it will scale easy whenever I bring it into Fusion. So whenever you bring it into Fusion, you can extrude all of that, and you can literally just delete the box, basically. So the other important thing I do over here is the difference in heights on all these pieces, right? So your entire base is just your stock height. Everything that I want to print a different color, I've recessed 0.05 millimeters. And the reason I do that is because the slicers can't tell a difference in those heights for the purposes of a line of filament. Like, I think the thinnest I can go is 0.12. So 0.05, like, it doesn't even register that as not being the same layer. So this would be layer 1, this would be layer 1. It doesn't know the difference. But it does make it really easy whenever you come in here and you start coloring everything, because they are different surfaces at that point. So, you import it in. You can go ahead and paint the whole thing black, and then whenever you go up to your paint tools, you'll be able to pick out all the individual areas very easily because they're ever so slightly recessed. When it prints, it doesn't know the difference, but as far as painting surfaces, it makes it much, much easier. Things I'd like to point out is everything is in a multiple of 4. If you see there's 2 passes here, that's 0.8 inches. 3 passes here, that's 1.2. 5 passes, that's 2, So you want to make sure you keep your multiples of that. The other thing I did was, so that these wouldn't be obvious and that they would hopefully just show up whenever it lit up, I put them in the back layer. So your engine, your oil, and your battery are all back there instead of on the front face with everything else. Now, in practice, it didn't turn out so well. I've got an extra slot I can use for another color in my AMS. So I've ordered some translucent black that I'm going to try and put on this front layer where these 3 little white squares are, to try and clear that up so you don't see it until it lights up on the backside. As proof of concept, it turned out pretty good. One thing I'd like to point out is this is not white. This is the best diffuser I found as far as PLA goes. And I'm using PLA because it's going to be in the cluster. It'll always be in the shade. It's perfectly flat. I think it'll probably be okay. I live in Georgia. Come July, I'll know if I need to reprint them in PETG. But anyways, so the best diffuser I've found is actually inland luminescent stuff. It's technically glow in the dark, but if you look over there, you can see this sign that I printed a while back. It's the same stuff. It diffuses the light very, very well. So we're going to hope that does its job. Anything else that I can think of about about this? Right now it's in a textured plate. I have a carbon fiber plate that I want to print it on, but it's notoriously hard to get this stuff to stick to it. So I'm going to have to probably pick up some Aquanet or something to put down on it. I'm going to have to clean the thing furiously and just hope that it sticks. But as far as print quality, it came out pretty good. I can't complain. So after this, I guess I'm going to hop on to the next couple steps, and once I get the original ones pulled out, I think they're thicker than this. This is about 0.5 millimeters thick. This is pretty thin. I think the stock ones are probably closer to 1, so it'll give me a little more room to play with, a little bit more of an ability to kind of hide these 3 icons, but it's a good start place. All right, so real quick on assembling these things, it's pretty easy, honestly. I've gone ahead and taped these down, but as you can see, it's just double-sided tape. Um, so, you can double-sided tape these things down and it's not an issue. As far as alignment, once you've got that pin set at 0 and you're getting ready to put one of these on, you want to usually start by pushing it up against the pin, then finding where the home is, then pushing it down. That way you know it's going to stay at 0. And even though these things have got a little bit of play, they'll bounce back. With gravity, they'll fall back down on 0. So those are pretty easy to keep. As for the fuel gauge, there's something a little bit different that I usually like to do to mark fuel gauge and temperature gauge. So if you notice, I've got like a flat edge right here on these so that I know whenever I put the needle back on, it's going to line up. And the reason why this is important is because this is going to be sitting exactly where the last place your tank was measured at. And if you screw it up, it's always going to be off by that much. So for that part, you need to at least be kind of straight. You have your two little keys to align on. Just go ahead and tape them down. Your double-sided tape. Make sure you're lined up with a pip and a pip. It's not going anywhere. Even though I'm putting a new bezel on after this, I'm going to drop this on for a second just so I can line these needles up. If you look, I should be just below half a tank. But the important part here is that you want to line up this line that I created with the tape going straight down. Same for over here, even though this is going to cold, it's always going to cold, but these rest ever so slightly beneath the graph. I don't know why, but your cold is going to be slightly under where cold is. And then you're ready to put on your new bezel after that. So as much as it pains me to say this, after engineering to print out this 90s as fuck bezel, it was just too thick. It's only 0.5 millimeters, but it was still just thick enough that whenever I set it on top of the gray bezel, it wouldn't. I couldn't get the face to close on it. So we pulled it, but now we're going to talk about some glamour shots and some other things that I forgot to mention. So the pins in there are earring backs. I think I spent $3 at the craft shop. I think I got 25 of them, but if you look closely down there, you can see that the needle is just resting on an earring back that's like, there's a tiny hole and it's pushed through there. The backs of those earring backs are flat, so it's kind of hard to get them in there crooked as long as it sits flush. But the final product had a pretty good effect. I don't know if you can see the carbon fiber. It's kind of hard to get it glowing, get it to pop without any light in here, but the carbon fiber print actually came out really well. Did a pretty good job at hiding a lot of the mistakes and stuff. The font could be a little bit cleaner, like especially like up there in 80. But overall, I think for just trying to correct an RPM gauge and getting some fun custom gauges out of it, the project itself was just a success.